Am I audible? Good afternoon, Rainy. Can you hear me? Nafisa, hi. Good to see you here. Just let me know if you guys can hear me. Can you see me? Okay, I'm audible, but can you see me? You can hear me clearly, super Roshni, but can you see me? Am I visible? Okay, I'd like someone to write out, I can understand you can hear me. Can you see me? Awesome. Thank you so much. Super. Thank you, Usha. Loud and clear. I'm visible and audible. Thank you very much. I would start once I get the signal from the Teacher Help Teachers guys. If you can give me a thumbs up, I can start away. Okay, all right. We have a lot of people who've joined us, 55 already. Good, so we're good to start. First and foremost, hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in today. Hope you are comfortably seated. We would be spending around 45 minutes together. Thank you. Somebody likes the background. Thank you so much. And I'd like to first and foremost thank Rakhi and Teachers Help Teachers for calling me in today. I'm so happy to be interacting with you all. The times are not so great, but I think this interaction, just to take this 45 minutes, all of us, to take this break and to just connect and zero down on what in these times is extremely important for us as teachers, as parents. It's important to take this time out, and I know there's so much happening at home, you know, amidst the work that you all are doing, the housework compounded, all members at home, and the whole uncertainty, the volatility that is existing outside. It is taking us to another zone, and it's really not a great time for everybody. But it's important for us to not lose perspective and to understand. Thank you, Rakhi. My pleasure too, to be here. It's important for us to understand that how we can tide over this, what people are calling the new normal, how we can tide over this and emerge out of this into the world that will welcome us soon, hopefully, and emerge out of this stronger and wiser. And looking at the kind of conversations that I'm having, I see there's a lot of thoughtfulness that's happening around. I'm Monisha Singh Diwan, essentially a teacher at heart and in action. I'm an early years specialist and a responsive parenting coach. My heart and work has always been with children and adults who work with them and for them. I grew up across the north and west of the country as an army kid, and as an adult across the country and diverse parts outside of our country, especially in the Asia Pacific. Ever since I was focusing on what I wanted to do, I wanted to work with children, eventually with teachers, and now increasingly with families. I now contribute through my consultancy, Mighty Hearts, which borrows from Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh's guidance on happy teachers change the world. I'm sure that's something that's going to echo with all of you. So I know I can't see you, unfortunately, but if you can just give a smile out, just give a smile out, and just for that moment, feel the happiness exude through you, because you all are absolutely fantastic because of the kind of work you're doing with children amidst all the things that are happening in our lives. My extension to happy teachers change the world is that happy children make a happy world. So we really, during this time of distress, a global emergency that we're all part of, there is a lot of work that we have to do in ensuring that our children are getting a safe, secure environment at home, and through whatever we are catalyzing as teachers for families, that this time does not leave marks on them which are not going to be so healthy. So today's session is about reclaiming your superpowers. So since it's teachers who are the super men and women in the lives of children, and parents who are the super men and women, I would say let's reclaim our superpower, calm. So calm for me is the superpower. We need to reclaim it or claim it if it's not something which we are used to. And we need to ensure that calm is the space and the state that children stay in. In the new language we are using so often now, if there has to be a long-lasting pandemic beyond the short corona one, let it be a pandemic of this calm, of the compassion that we are seeing around, of the kindness that we are seeing. We are hearing stories. All of us are fantastically wired these days, and we are hearing these stories of immense kindness beyond our own needs. Words cannot express the gratitude for people who are in the front lines, the work they are doing, and abundant love. So let it be a pandemic which has calm, compassion, kindness, gratitude, and abundant love for your own self, for people around you, your families, and a larger community. Let emotional distancing not be the norm with our children as teachers and parents. And let me tell you, emotional distancing from our own feelings. There's so many times when I do workshops and we are going deeper into the space, there are adults who burst out in tears because they've not really delved deeper into their emotions. The issues that are there in being more aware about how they're feeling, or to have the right coping strategies for the same. Some disclaimers at the start. This is a short session, so I intend to leave you with some essentials, and my focus is more on mindsets. I will leave you with few strategies. There's loads available on the net. It's not a space where we'll get a fantastic closure because it has limitations in interactions. But you can continue to connect with me on the Mighty Hearts Facebook page, reach out with questions and suggestions, and keep the discussion rolling on the THT page so that it's a vibrant one. I want you all at this moment to just take a step back, just be seated comfortably, your feet flat on the ground. I want you to just close your eyes. Breathe in And breathe out in a whoosh like this, as if you are blowing out a candle or blowing out everything inside, you're throwing it out. Let's do that 3 times with your eyes closed. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. I'm going to ask you a question at this stage about how you're feeling. If you're feeling good and finding it easy to sit and listen, just write blue. If you are not feeling good and it's kind of hard to focus at this point in time, please write red. And if you're kind of switching between the two, write yellow. I'll give you a moment to write your responses. How are you feeling? Blue, red, or yellow? Thank you for your responses. This is more of a self-awareness check. It's not for me at this stage. As I said, it's a short session, but it's more for you to know where you are in time and space. Or when you're having your online connect with children of varied ages, please use strategies where you start with understanding where they are, how they are feeling, acknowledging that, using objects probably at home with parents. Parents could have the red, blue, yellow objects. So children could just pick up and probably show you the red teddy or the yellow ball or the blue glass. And you are fantastically creative, so you can find your own way there. But the point is, it is important for us to be aware of how we're feeling, and for children also to get in the space where they're more aware about their feelings. My work in the last 10 odd years has been very centered around socio-emotional learning and positive learning environments. And while as teachers, as people who are policy makers, we do acknowledge socio-emotional learning as important, you don't see it really translated in a very focused way in schools and institutions. Never has there been a time so relevant as now to really, for all of us, to look deeper into the relevance of socio-emotional learning, why it needs to be the fulcrum around which all learning evolves. And I want to start with this, that all people are capable of developing the socio-emotional competencies that are required for us to have a peaceful, a calm life in our varied environments that we live in. So what is socio-emotional learning? In a simple way, I just want to leave you with a little crux of what it is. It's a process through which children and adults become more aware of their feelings. They learn to relate more harmoniously with each other. They develop the ability to make responsible decisions and to handle challenges effectively. And the adults in children's lives can provide children with the needed scaffolding to develop these skills. These skills are not something that come to us naturally. A lot of us as adults are still in the process of developing these skills. We are still in the process of understanding our feelings better. We are still in the process of resolving conflict, understanding arguments, negotiating where there's a positive outcome for people involved. we're still learning. And a lot of it is by trial and error. But socio-emotional learning competency development should not be trial and error. It needs to be very well instilled, integrated into the learning environment. In a very simple way, it is how it develops is first is by direct, explicit teaching of socio-emotional competencies. And what are these competencies? These competencies are around social development where, for example, it could be applying social rules, of the kind of distance that we have to keep from each other. So with younger children, we often make them do the bubble. Well, this is your bubble, and you do not burst the other person's bubble. In present times, our bubble has become much bigger. It's a bubble where we have to keep a physical distance. So it requires a different treatment. So it's very important for children to pick up skills around social rules, around empathy development, around respecting diversity, being harmonious with the environment, or from the emotional part of, a competency development, naming feelings. A lot of us struggle with what we are feeling, what exactly is this feeling that is making me so disturbed? A lot of us struggle in understanding the other person's feelings. Under emotional competencies, also things like having a positive regard for yourself, etc. And socio-emotional learning also covers cognitive development because, very importantly, perspective taking or inhibitory control, this regulation, the ability to be able to regulate your emotions, delayed gratification, etc. It's not something that I'm going to go deeper into, but I would like to say, Sean Koff, who's one of my favorite gurus that I follow, his quote in his book, Neurons to Neighborhoods, says it all. Without relationships, there's no development. So whatever we are talking about today is linking up to relationships. What is the crux of these relationships? Whether we are in families, as parents, between between partners in the house, mother and child, father and mother, teachers and parents, etc. The other thing I want to just kind of highlight is that all the research is telling us that in this exponential change that's happening in the world, the skills that are going to be transferable are these kind of skills. Otherwise, what you're learning today in terms of technical abilities is going to not be working tomorrow. But this is not the time for us to delve deeper into that. And I just want you guys to seriously, when you go back, when we're out of the crisis, when you go back to your classrooms, into your lovely schools, to really look at this very seriously in your curriculum, in what you do in your environments. So, we're going to talk about feeling the feeling. Feeding it a bit, feeding the feeling too, but feeling the feeling. So now I would want you to really write out how you're feeling generally. So I got a lot of blues, I got some yellows when I asked you the question, but that's like your present state. If you were to talk about your general state in the uncertainty that we're all looking at, what are you feeling? And I would like you to just write out your feeling. So maybe you might say worried, anxious, hopeful, etc. So just take a moment. I'd like some of you to respond, please. How are you feeling in these times? Write out just a word which lets us know. Okay, we've got Rashmi who shared uncertainty. I have hopeful, hopefully worried, anxious but positive. That's a lot like what I'm feeling. Hopeful, more hopeful. Gratitude. Quite a mix of anxious and hopeful. sometimes bored, positive. Great. I just like to share with you some, a colleague of mine shared this in the morning with me. Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, along with CASEL, and CASEL is this organization, US-based, which is a collaborative for social, emotional, and academic learning. You can have a look at their website. There's a lot of material for teachers there. They launched a survey to unpack the emotional lives of teachers during the COVID-19 crisis. In a span of 3 days, 5,000 US teachers responded to the survey. Just want to share this with you guys. 5 most mentioned feelings were anxious, fearful, worried, overwhelmed, and sad. These were the 5 most mentioned feelings. Anxiety by far was the most frequently mentioned emotion. So these 5 feelings were shared, and the reasons that these feelings were, the feelings that came out, there were 2 buckets they spoke about. One was around the general fear around COVID-19, and the second was stress in managing their own and family's needs while working from home and adapting to new technologies of teaching. I'm sure there's a lot of stress that's also happening with all the technologies. Let me share with you, this is the first time I've done an FB live session. So I really needed to do my deep breathing before the session started because there were a lot of bloopers. So we are learning new ways of connecting. So that itself causes some amount of stress to compound the other stress that we're already feeling. Thank you so much, all of you, for sharing so much. And I really appreciate the honesty with which you're sharing this, because I think we all see a common trait here as adults of what exactly is happening with us. So I just want to give you an example of when we look at feelings for you to understand this. So if you can just follow me, put your palm out like this. So I'm basically giving you a simple structure of the brain to understand what's happening in this box out here. Put your palm out, okay, like this. I want you to put your thumb in and close your palm. Now this is your brain, okay. Look at this brain in this form. This is your, let's say this is a spinal cord. This is your lower brain, okay. This lower brain is also called reptilian brain. It's also called the reptilian brain because it's the lower brain. This bit here, look at this as your midbrain. I'm giving you a very simple way of looking at this, which is also called the limbic brain. And this closed thing is your prefrontal cortex. So when you just look at these 3 brains, the lower, the middle, and the upper, the lower brain is basically, which is your brain which responds to threat, to anxiety, to stress with a fight-flight response. Fight or flight. THT, that's CASEL, C-A-S-E-L. So it's a fight and flight. So whenever we are in stress, we are feeling threatened, we're extremely anxious, this is the brain that's going to be working, the lower brain, and we will be in a stage of fight, flight, freeze. The middle brain is basically your emotions, but emotions, which is also, this part is called hippocampus and amygdala, which is basically your emotions, your basic emotions, and your memory, connected to your memory, which is more like associated memory. So you have your emotions here. But this beautiful prefrontal cortex is, when this is the one which is working, this is where we do all the higher order thinking. We're kind of using our logic. We are using those beautiful words. We are being able to have that lovely communication. We are learning. We're in a space where we are performing and learning. But just for you to understand, if you or children or as parents, you're in a stage of, feeling threatened, feeling extremely stressed, where stress is not being handled well by you, or in a space where you're not feeling validated, not feeling happy, you're going to be in the lower or the midbrain. In that state, you cannot get this prefrontal cortex to be working. So what happens is, this flips out. You must have heard this phrase, flipping the lid. This is exactly what happens. It's this flipping out. So when this flips out, well, it's gone. This is it. You cannot operate from here. Because the stress has been difficult to handle, your prefrontal cortex is now kind of said, boss, I'm not working. But you're working either from your lower brain or from the midbrain. And that's why it's important for us to acknowledge our feelings and work on strategies around getting into a calm space. Now, having said that, we are all neurodiverse. What works for me may not work for somebody else. I've seen people who've had extreme calm emerging from, washing utensils. Well, some of us may need to find a quiet space, put some agarbattis and just sit for a few minutes and, do a little breathing. Some of us might find that calm looking at the plants at our windowsill or, watching our children play. So it's going to work differently for different people. What's important when you're looking at feelings is, do you understand what you're feeling and what others are feeling? That is, I think, something which we have to most importantly look at. For our children, getting to children, it's important for us in this state of our brain, we don't want this brain to flip. So when you're having those online sessions or when parents are connecting with children and telling them, school has given this work and that work and do this worksheet and that worksheet or blah, blah, blah. If you do not know where you are or where your child is, it's not going to work. You are actually adding to that stress, that trauma that the child is already going through. And the younger the children, more difficult is it for them to understand what's going on. I have my cousins with infants and toddlers, and the children are just not understanding why their park meets are not happening, why they can't step out of the house, why they can't get their favorite things to eat. I'm talking to my nieces and nephews and to children of parents I coach, and their children were talking about, I hate the world. I'm so angry. What is happening? Why is this happening? I hate Corona. So you find all of this happening, but basically there is so much of angst. There is so much of, and even when, when I speak to them and talk to them, a lot of them come out with, oh, I can't talk to my parents about this, but they don't have time. They're working, so they don't want to listen. So also this, to compound, you don't have adults around who are listening because they themselves are going through a lot of, big emotions. So I'm just saying, take a step back. There's a song that comes to my mind, Simon Garfunkel song, which says, slow down, you run too fast, make the moment last. Very important. I think everything we do now, please slow down. Please slow down. Everything. This is not what we were doing earlier. This is a new normal. Please slow down with what you do. Please pack in less. As teachers, as parents, and for your children, please don't look at XYZ videos that people are posting on those fantastic activities they're doing with children, or the fantastic sessions they're doing and the fantastic learning, or they're learning languages, art, whatever. Great for them. But please, at this moment, less is more. See what works for you. Right? With children, I would say, to kind of make a place calm for them, I'm just saying, just clear up your homes, because right now the homes are your, the learning ground. Clear up your homes, declutter. For example, in my house, my living space, I have removed everything. I made it into a very calm zone so that we can just sit on the ground. All of us are liking to just sit on the floor. We have times where we need solo time in the room, so we are really booking it. My 3 weeks have been very different. First week was heightened of trying to do everything. Second week was a lot of powwow, a lot of arguments because everybody's space was getting messed up, everybody's working. Week 3, there's been a low, we've gone low, but we are coming out with now very authentic ways of living, you know, with everybody talking more openly. So I'm also coming to what exactly is the learning that should happen during this time. Please make the learning authentic. Forget your literacy, numeracy. It'll all be there within this. Please look at authentic learning. What is authentic? Authentic is just looking out for others' needs, understanding what's happening in this world, the people out there who are helping, you know, learning to wash your utensils, pick up after yourselves, being grateful to the person who's cooking for you, just being thankful. You have a roof on your head, you have food to eat. Let's get to basics. There is not a better time than now for children to learn these lessons, and please don't teach them, live them. Live the lessons. Let's not make it into another class where we want the children to say, okay, be thankful now what you're eating. Let's put a prayer out there. Let's put a prayer for people who are out there risking their lives for us. Let's put a prayer for the food on our table, clean water that we are drinking, the safety of our homes. We know there are a lot of people out there who do not have that. There's not a better time that you can sensitize children to understand diversity, to understand that there are differences in the world, to be grateful for what they have, and to understand what they can do. Let your literacy and numeracy come out through letters that they can write to people out there, to their grandparents who may not be with them, to their friends. Let it come out through little deeds that they could do. Most importantly, use a soothing tone of voice, reduce interruptions, speak softly, move softly, talk softly. And when you get out of this crisis and go back to your classrooms, please continue to make that a norm and listen. Where you are concerned, just a quick list. Look at your physical, emotional, social, and spiritual self. This is a time to just reset yourself, reset your families. We are having as a family, and I have a family of 5, including my dog, and they're all in different ages, my mother, my husband, my grown-up son. We're actually relearning to live together, you know. We are relearning because we're relearning a lot of things about each other, and it's happening absolutely while we're running fast. So my thing is, where self-care is concerned, I'll use the analogy of a plane. When you're in a plane, the instruction that's given by the lovely air hostesses is, I don't know the words, but you know, if in case there is some kind of a disturbance, and if the oxygen mask come down, who would you put the oxygen mask first on? On yourself, right? Put it on yourself first and then on children. Which means taking care of yourself as a teacher, as a parent, is not being self-absorbed, it's not being selfish. It's actually being kinder to people around you. We have to change this. Change the whole discourse around taking care of yourself being something that is self-serving. It is self-serving. But unless I take care of myself, I cannot take care of people who I'm connected with, my colleagues, my family, and most importantly, children who are vulnerable, right? The other analogy, again the plane analogy that comes to my mind is, imagine there's a plane which is in real turbulence, you know, and God forbid it's in a stage where it might be, it might crash, let's say, or it might be in a stage of turbulence. And you have an air hostess who comes and says, please wear your seatbelts. We are in real danger. We might crash, you know. Have you worn your seatbelts? Are you doing this? Oh God, you've not done that. oh God, your bag is still around. What are you doing? Now in that stage, where you're going through such trauma, such upheaval, such uncertainty, and your air hostess is out there doing this to you, your cortisol, the stress hormone, is going to be it's going to be right there. You'll flip the lid again, and at that stage, if you do a body scan, your hands are going to be the palpitations, you'll be sweating, you'll not be in a stage, because this has gone up, which means if you come to a crisis, plane crashes, you have to take some good decisions. This is not working. It's going to be just this, impulsive. But when you hear the voice of the air hostess, which is soft, calm, giving you strategies, just calming you down, there's a different stage. So please, things that you have to do is going to be more around calming activities, calm voice, calm walk. Find calm eating. Focus when you're eating. Don't please keep all your devices out. Start thanking the farmers because of whom we get the food on the table. Somewhere along the line, we've really forgotten. We've forgotten the earth. And we need to just use this opportunity to get that back in our lives. And children will learn it for life if you do it authentically, genuinely, which starts with you. I'd like to just sing a song out, and then I'm going to just take some questions. It's a lovely song that I use often, and I'm going to sing it out. My voice is a little cracked, but that doesn't stop me from singing as it should not. It says, and this is a prayer for your body, your cells. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad that every little cell in my body is happy and well. I'm so glad that every little cell in my body is happy and well. And you could really do this to every part of your body. Do it with children. With children you can actually put a lot of exercise into this. For example, you could say, and I'll sing it out fast, every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Shake yourself, it's good for your health. Every little cell in my body is well. So shake yourself. The next you could say, every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Bend your knees in chair pose, please, like the chair pose. So you're bending your knees. Every little cell is happy and well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Reach up high, touch the sky. Every little cell in my body is well. You could go on reaching out for your toes, doing the jumping jacks. Finally, every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad, for every little cell in my body is well. Thank you, teachers. Thank you, friends, for every little cell in my body is well. Thank you, doctors. Thank you, nurses, for every little cell in my body is well. Thank you, helpers, doing so much, for every little cell in my body is well. Thank you, everyone who are staying at home, for every little cell in my body is well. So the song you can find on the net, and it's a beautiful one to just remind yourself, and you can of course add a lot of thing of tapping the head, tapping different parts of the body. It's also a great way to celebrate your body, be thankful that you're in good health, sending lots of love, abundant love, a lot of kindness and compassion to your inner selves. It's very important to do. So I'll just take some questions. pressing questions right now. Thank you so much. All of you, you've been, I'm sorry, but I've been just on a roll. But thank you so much for your appreciation, for your sharing. Really lovely. And teachers help teachers. Beautiful comments there. Let's quickly just look at if there's some pressing questions in your mind right now. Any questions, immediate questions that come to your mind? This song, you just type out, Vandita, you can type out every little cell in my body. You'll get a lot of beautiful videos on it. Every little cell in my body. Some of the things I've added, the gratitude bit I've added, but I think as teachers, we keep innovating, right? Okay, 4 hours. Okay, good. Somebody's reminded me. Okay, 4 hours that I'm talking about is now when you look at children, and please talk to parents about it. Simple. Routines. Routines are important for children. So not routines like the whole day being timetabled, but keep routines as very important. So some kind of structure, getting up, sleeping, meal times, little time for play, little time for some work that they're doing. Routines, that's the first hour. The second hour is rituals. As families, celebrate rituals. Maybe have a time, maybe when you eat dinner, I'm just giving an example, where you talk about how the day's been. What are they grateful for in the day? What do they look forward to the next day? So set up rituals. Maybe your ritual could be having what I do. I have my cup of coffee by my windowsill. I watch the sky, I watch my plants. I try to do that early in the morning before everybody gets up. The third hour, so it's routines, rituals. The third hour is responsibilities. Please give responsibilities. Responsibilities means children, do not underestimate them. Give them responsibilities. The work you're doing, clearing up the table, brooming up, mopping, a lot of stuff, putting the clothes in the washing machine, or helping you with stuff around. This is what's going to happen. Just integrate this. So it's, you're sort of contributing to their learning, and they play as well as they're learning some life skills there. The fourth hour, so I said rituals, routines, rituals, responsibilities, and most importantly, regulation. Regulation. And regulation is your own self-regulation, your emotions, how you feel them, what sense you make out of them, how you express them. That's the core. When you're able to regulate, then only you can co-regulate with children. So easy to tell children, don't shout. When your face is all frowned up, your eyes are like this, your face is looking contorted, and the child is just looking at your face and is responding to that, not your words. So regulation is the fourth hour. Just these 4 hours are extremely important. And when I said take 5, for this very simple thing to do, this is an activity I got off the net, which I really like and I use with younger children, keeping their hands busy. The breathing, this strategy they can, whenever they're feeling a little unnerved, not feeling good, just to take 5. Take 5 is breathe in. When you go up your thumb, you breathe in. And when you go down, you breathe out. And they'll do this like this. So you say, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. So you can do it really slow. The idea is that you do it 5 times. And what I like to do is with younger ones, I keep it faster. Breathe in, breathe out. With the little older ones, when I'm talking about 5-6-year-old ones, you can actually do a breathe in, pause, breathe out. Breathe in, pause, breathe out. Just do this slowly. There are a lot of different breathing activities that you could do. Go on the net and check it out. As I said, less is more, and please go slow. Don't get into this whole thing of again activities. Intention is to be calm, and intention is not activities. So to be calm means slowing down, responding with due thought, and being very aware of what's happening to you. Calmness also makes your impacts your brain in fantastic ways, you know, because when you're really stressed, your cortisol levels hit up, and you know it gets all crazy there. But you want to just kind of settle down so you're able to respond well. Somebody has been talking about how does one respond to an 11-year-old when he asks, I feel stuck up at home, how long will this last? So Avi, it's very important to frankly be very authentic, because 11-year-old, be very authentic in your conversation with that 11-year-old, which is to talk about where we are and some of the things that are happening, in the sense that this is what is being communicated by the government. You can talk about that, and you can talk about WHO, so to talk about agencies that are reliable to say this is what the plan is. But even when we get out, because of the way this is, it's going to be faced. It's going to be in a faced manner. Feeling stuck up at home, and I did a session recently with children where I got them to talk about their feelings, and I did a story with them, and to look at, and after the story we had a thing about what is your most precious quality, and they all shared their precious quality, and I linked up that precious quality, how can it help them cope. So it was very beautiful, because children who were saying they're bored, and their precious quality, they said that, oh, I'm a good leader, and they started connecting that to, well, if I'm a good leader, I need to find solutions, and they started connecting to that. So, you know, stories are a wonderful medium. Stories, music, art, wonderful medium. So depending on what you know, your 11-year-old responds to. And that again brings me to rituals. Maybe you do a ritual every evening where you guys connect on some common thing, you know, rediscover stuff. We've always complained, oh, I want to do so much with my children, I've never had time. Well, that excuse is out, but the time should be something which is meaningful, for which we need a lot of self-care first. Vinita, few activities to make mind calm and to concentrate. Well, there's lots available on the net. You can go and check out and see what appeals to you. There are apps, like there's a Calm app which I use for my own self, because it's got great music and all, for my own self, that is. So you can see what you know, what works for you. Oh, the fifth hour, Jaya, fifth hour is relationships. So routines, rituals, responsibilities, regulation, let's not forget, it's all credited into relationships. We are crediting into our relationships now. Sangram, totally understand you, because you're also going through the critical phase, and there's so much of online classes, so much of pressure to complete. This is a time to really take back as a teaching community, to reach out and say, this is not the time for completion. Throw those activity packets out, and firstly, I have a lot of issues with that. This is not a time. So I think, again, as a teaching community, people need to be aware what is a need right now. We are not in some stay-at-home holiday. We are in a global emergency, and how you respond in that emergency is going to be, you know, it's going to be the true metal of character and the true metal of our profession. So it's very good, Sangram, what you're saying. It's time for teachers to collaborate, to share, and say that, you know what, as I said, less is more is the mantra. Less is more. Thank you, Asha. Thank you so much, and so happy that you joined in. Calm environment in home, as I said, just declutter. The children should have a space where they can play. Just ensure that, you know, this is a time when you are stressed, you are very sensitive to light and sound. I see that happening with me. It may be different for different people, but just ensure that everything is kind of on a softer sort of, you know, movement. Oh, Chitra has shared a poem. I'll just try to read it out. A wise old owl sat in an oak. The more he heard, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Why aren't we all like that wise old bird? Thank you, Chitra. And you said it. It's time for us to take a step back and pause. And when we ask our children these questions around how they're feeling, how they're doing, let's listen to them. Let them not be questions which are not authentic. Let's listen to them. Anjana has shared. Oh guys, I love you for the sharing that you're doing. I wish this session would go on, you know. There's a book by Anna Gomez titled Butterfly, something which helps them express themselves. So there people are sharing here, guys. You can go to the net and you can check out. Nafisa, love you. I'm so glad every little cell is feeling happy now. The 5 R's, Nuzhat, I'll repeat, is routines, rituals, responsibilities, regulation, and relationships. Routines, rituals, responsibilities, regulation, and relationships. Thank you, Pooja. People who know me know this about me, that I stay positive. Even when I'm not feeling so, and sometimes I smile even though my heart is crying. And sometimes when I do that, I actually feel that everything else becomes trivial, because what kicks in is gratitude, gratitude, and gratitude. Oyster and Butterfly book by Anna Gomez. Anjana, thank you so much. Lovely. Kiran, you can add relationships as the 5th there. Awesome. Ambika, for more vulnerable society, I'm also very happy the way Government of India has been doing work. So, you know, if you go to the Women and Child Development site, they've actually had a lot of sessions around psychosocial support during these times. I attended a session a few days back, and I was really happy with the way that went. So please look at that. Also, you should check out ARNEC, Asia Pacific Regional Network for Early Childhood Development. ARNEC has posted a lot of links, and these are credible organizations. Look at ARNEC, of course, look at Government of India, look at WHO. Because this has united us globally, there's so much of work happening around, there's material available. And where the vulnerable society, and when we look at our country, when you look at the Anganwadi workers, the Ashas who are there in the front line, the kind of work they're doing, they're still connecting with families. Hats off to them. And again, as I said, it's just a big, big thank you for all the people who are there on the front line. How can you maintain calm with our partners in relationship? I'm still learning, Subhu. So when I discover that, that's a tough question. But what I do is self-care, right? And sometimes in these times, you have to very calmly also renegotiate your relationship. Please, women here, do not think that the housework is only your responsibility. Parents, husbands are they're not helping. They are co-partners. So when I said resetting your family, it's a good time to use to divide responsibilities. Please do that. Yes, Indrani, I'm a firm believer in pranayama and meditation and yoga. Absolutely a firm believer if that works for you. Yes, we need to speak about our feelings. We need to speak. We need it to be mirrored. We need to speak. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. Children want to be seen and heard. We want to be seen and heard. I think we're up with time. Oh yes, we are. Thank you so much, and sending out a lot of love, a lot of healing to all of you and your families. Please stay calm, stay hopeful, and find your happy and your merries in your homes, around you. Reach out to people who are alone. Reach out to people who do not have families, who may not be as fortunate as we are, in different ways that you can. Thank you so much.